Shalom, everybody. I hope everyone is having a blessed day. I know it's been a minute before I did a video, or since I did a video. I know there's been a lot of stuff going on, but your brother Elvin Israel still here, still bringing out this truth, still studying, so everybody continue to pray for me, as well as, pray that the Most High keep opening my understanding. First, I want to give a special shout out to the Most High for being ahead of my life, as well as to Christ. May the King live, reign, and have dominion forever as prophesied. I'd like to also say, if everybody have not looked, checked out William Bell. He's my mentor. All Things Fulfilled. He has a lot of great information for you all who do not understand scriptures, as well as you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, AOSD, which stands for Assembly of Sound Doctrine, Chandler. So it's AOSD, CHANDLER. You can look it up on YouTube. It only takes 30 seconds to hit the subscribe thing. So now, let's go into the Bible, Jeremiah 4th. I started this about 2 weeks ago, and I wanted to hurry up and see if I can finish it before the person that I'm trading vehicles with come. And y'all know I'm at work, so I do this at work. But now, the question for today, or the statement for today is, the earth has already been destroyed. So now, a lot of people think that the Bible, the destruction prophesied in the Bible, is going to be a worldwide, world-ending, as in planet Earth-ending destruction. But I want to tell everybody that that's not how the Bible teaches its material. We got to understand that the Eastern language, very figurative, has a lot of idioms that we don't understand here in the Americas. So what I want to do, I just want to Easternize the Bible like it should, try to take it from the Western mindset and just let it stand for what it stands for. So I want to start in Jeremiah, the 4th chapter, and we're going to read a few verses just to show people that the earth has been destroyed in the Bible, the world has been destroyed in the Bible already. And that destruction that people are saying is going to happen is not really the world being destroyed. It was more of a localized event that affected the Israelites of the antiquity. So now, let me show you. Let's go to where it all started. The first beast that Daniel saw, Babylon. So let's go to Jeremiah, where it was prophesied that Babylon was coming to destroy Jerusalem. Let's look at the language that's used. Okay, so now Jeremiah 4th, and just so we can set the tone, 7. The lion is come up from the thicket, and the destroyer of the Gentiles is on his way. He is gone forth from his place to make thy land desolate, and thy cities shall be laid waste without an inhabitant. So now, first thing first, we have the lion. It's called a lion, the destroyer of the Gentiles. So once you go into Daniel dealing with the 4 beasts, what's the first beast? What did he see? He saw a lion that had eagle's wings, and eventually a man's heart was given to him. So this is the same symbolism that Jeremiah saw, or that Jeremiah used. Daniel piggybacked, or he was able to see in his vision that same symbolism. So this lion, aka the destroyer of the Gentiles, this is not America. This is Babylon. Babylon, the real Babylon that's in the Bible. Yes, that Babylon. King Nebuchadnezzar. Yes, that Babylon. He was called the destroyer of the Gentiles. And what was he going to do? He was going to make the land desolate. The land of Israel, Jerusalem, desolate. And thy cities, the cities of Israel, will be laid to waste without an inhabitant. So if y'all know the story of King Nebuchadnezzar, you know that he actually sieged Jerusalem 3 times. So that saying that and there was always inhabitants left in Jerusalem. So that's saying without an inhabitant, that's not saying that every literal person was going to be wiped out of Jerusalem. Okay? So when you see without an inhabitant, the Father is not thinking about the total desolation of the place. He's talking more about the power, them as a people, them as a unit, them as citizens. He was going to break that power from them. He was going to spread them out, make them flee like cockroaches when light turned on. You know what I'm saying? But let's keep reading. I'm going to start at verse 11. And at that time it shall be, well, I'm going to start at verse 10. Might as well do verse 9, right? And it should come to pass at that day, said the Lord, that the heart of the king shall perish, and the heart of the princes and the priests shall be astonished, and the prophets shall wonder. We see that this was one of the curses in Deuteronomy, that you will have, your heart will have astonishment. We see that being displayed right now under where we see it being displayed under a prophecy that was coming to Jerusalem. Verse 10, and then said, I, O Lord God, surely thou hast greatly deceived this people and Jerusalem, saying, ye shall have peace, whereas the sword reacheth unto the soul. You remember that prophecy? When they shall say peace, there shall be sudden destruction. The same thing was happening in Jeremiah before the Babylonians came and destroyed Jerusalem for the first time. See, they piggyback off of these prophecies, okay? Everything that you hear of is not like new. It's all nothing new under the sun dealing with these prophecies. They're all piggybacking off of each other. So once you see it, they should have peace. War came. You'll see that later on about when they say peace, sudden destruction should come. They just pulled that right from Jeremiah. That's where they got it from. Okay, now verse 11. Well, hold on. Whereas the sword reaches into the soul, verse 11. And at that time shall it be said to this people and to Jerusalem, a dry wind of the high places in the wilderness toward the daughter of my people, not to fan, nor to cleanse. Even a full wind from those places shall come unto me. Now also will I give sentence against them. So now we see that a judgment is happening against Jerusalem. Let's keep reading. Verse 13. Behold, he shall come up as clouds, and his chariots shall be as a whirlwind. His horses are swifter than eagles. Woe unto us, for we are spoiled. So now, what is happening? The King Nebuchadnezzar, look what it says King Nebuchadnezzar is doing. King Nebuchadnezzar was going to come up as clouds. So later on in scriptures, you see it says he's coming in clouds and his chariots with him. We see that this clouds is just another word for a coming army dealing with judgment. Okay? A coming army dealing with judgment. And how do you do that? Well, you have clouds, you have whirlwinds. This is pretty much all of the dust and dirt that these horses are kicking up. This is the swiftness, the wind that's coming behind these chariots, the dust that these horses are kicking up. It looks like clouds, right? He's coming with clouds, right? That's judgment. These are things that they're using to describe what they will see, okay? They're not talking about the clouds in the sky, okay? So when you see later on in scriptures, he's coming with clouds. He rode on clouds. No, that's just a judgment term, most likely dealing with the dust and the dirt that comes up and be spreaded abroad, coming from these armies and the horses and things that they ride to kick up that dirt. But let's keep going. It says, his horses are swifter than eagles. Woe unto us, for we are spoiled. And what the horses were swifter than eagle, what did we see in Daniel, the fourth beast? He was a lion that had eagle's wings. So we know now that the eagle's wings, those eagles, represents the swiftness. Okay. Verse 14. O Jerusalem, wash thine heart from wickedness, that thou mayest be saved. How long shall thy vain thoughts lodge within thee? So he's telling Jerusalem, hey, you guys must change the way that y'all think and do things. If not, judgment is coming upon us. So let's keep reading. For a voice declared from Dan, and published affliction from Mount Ephraim. Make ye mention to the nations. Behold, publish against Jerusalem, that watchers come from a far country, and give out their voice against the cities of Judah. So now, watchers come from where? A far country. Okay? A far country. Babylon was considered a far country to Jerusalem. Okay? So once again, once you see scriptures talking about the destroyer is coming from a far country, quit thinking of America. Take it right back to the Bible, what the Bible is talking about, not the Western mindset, not us Western people, not us American, not us Americanized Jews, but the people who lived back then who actually experienced this, which was our forefathers, our ancestors in Jerusalem, okay? They were the far country, okay? And give out their voice against the cities of Judah. All right. Let's see if I can go. I'm going to go to verse 18. Thy way and thy doings have procured these things unto thee. This is thy wickedness, because it is bitter, because it reaches into thine heart. So once again, this was judgment against Israel, correct? Because of the way that they was transgressing the commandments. They were not doing what they were supposed to do in the law, therefore destruction or judgment was set against them. Verse 19, my bowels, I am pained at my very heart. My heart maketh a noise in me. I cannot hold my peace, because thou hast heard, O my soul, the sound of the trumpet, the alarm of war. So now, when you hear a trumpet here, what is it? The trumpet is an alarm of war. So real life war, okay? People really coming during war. So once you're hearing trumpets in the New Testament, what do you think it is alarming for? War was coming. Destruction, utter destruction was coming. These trumpets, you remember the trumpets in Revelation? This demonstrates war coming. An alarm for war. I don't know what y'all think the trumpets are for, but in the Feast of Trumpets, what was the Feast of Trumpets for? The Feast of Trumpets dealt with war, judgment from war. Okay, but now, verse 20, look what verse 20 say. Destruction upon destruction is cried, for the whole land is spoiled. Suddenly my tent spoiled, and my curtains in a moment. So what is it called when Babylon was supposed to sack Jerusalem? See, this is before Babylon sacked Jerusalem, but what is it called? Destruction upon destruction. So doesn't this sound like the end of the world, the time of the end? When everybody think that the whole entire world is supposed to be destroyed, the whole planet Earth, and we're supposed to get a new planet, not understanding the figurative language that the Easterners had. See, we have it right here, destruction upon destruction. So was the whole earth taken out, or just Israel or Jerusalem? Okay? Jerusalem. Once again, you're reading localized stuff, and these are what the natives of the land would have thought. They would not have thought that the whole entire globe was being destroyed. Okay? So you shouldn't do it today. But let's keep reading. Verse 21. How long shall I see the standard and hear the sound of the trumpet? Once again, the trumpet is for war. For my people is foolish. They have not known me. They are sottish children, and they have none understanding. They are wise to do evil, but to do good they have no knowledge. So the first time that Jerusalem was to be destroyed by the Babylonians, the reason it occurred was because they was transgressing the law. They wasn't doing what the Most High told them to do. In fact, what did he tell them? What was they doing? He said they were foolish. They were sottish children. They have no understanding. They are wise to do evil, but to do good they have no knowledge. These children of Israel, they did not have the willpower or the know-how to do good because they transgressed what the Most High left upon the earth for them, which was that covenant of Moses. They transgressed it. So during that transgression, they lost all type of knowledge and functionality on how to please the Most High. They was wise. They knew how to do evil. Same thing we see today. When people are being destroyed by their own works today, the first thing they want to do, they want to cry to the Most High. They want to blame the Most High. It's not his fault. It's our fault because we're wicked from the beginning. We got to learn how to please the Most High, which is through Christ. That's why we have the Bible. We have it all laid out what we need to do. So just like they overlooked it, we overlook it today. But now, look what he said. Verse 23. I beheld the earth, and lo, it was without form and void in the heavens, and they had no light. So, these people, Israel, doing evil back then, before the Babylonians came to destroy them, it was symbolic to how the earth was in the beginning, all the way back into Genesis. The earth, all the way back into Genesis. Let's go to Genesis. Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. So, them being wicked, those Israelites being wicked and stuff, is just like how the earth was in the very beginning, aka that whole world that they was living in had to be destroyed or considered destroyed. That world that they lived in to the Most High was considered destroyed and abandoned, and he was going to have to do another creation because that creation had been destroyed. It had been considered destroyed. I beheld the mountains, and lo, they trembled, and all the hills moved lightly. I beheld, and lo, there was no man, and all the birds of the heavens were fled. Doesn't that sound like the earth was destroyed to you? Doesn't that sound like utterly destruction? Utter destruction. Destruction upon destruction. Ain't that what it sounds like to you? Okay, so we know that the earth was not really literally destroyed. So once you read it in the New Testament, don't think that the earth is literally destroyed. This is how they express themselves. This is what's symbolic. Okay, so now it says, I beheld, and lo, the fruitful place was a wilderness, and all the cities thereof were broken down at the presence of the Lord and by his fierce anger. So now, let's go through this again. I beheld, and lo, the fruitful place was a wilderness, and all the cities thereof were broken down at the presence of the Lord and by his fierce anger. So now, that fruitful place, Jerusalem, it became a wilderness, and all the cities within Israel were broken down, okay? Well, how? At the presence of the Lord and by his fierce anger. But who was supposed to come destroy the Jerusalem? The destroyer of the Gentiles is on his way. He is gone forth from his place to make thy land desolate, and thy city shall be laid waste without an inhabitant. So the presence of the Lord, right here, the presence of the Lord, which destroyed the cities, was who? King Nebuchadnezzar. Okay? King Nebuchadnezzar, Nebuchadnezzar. So King Nebuchadnezzar was the one who came in and destroyed Jerusalem. It's called, him coming in, getting ready to destroy Jerusalem, is called the presence of the Lord. Okay, so it was not literal Lord God. It was not literal God coming down to destroy Jerusalem. It was his judgment given to or displayed by the king of Babylon. So his presence was actually the king of Babylon and his army coming to destroy Jerusalem. This is very, very, very important, because in the New Testament, when Christ was supposed to return, in the Greek, it means the same thing, the parousia, or his presence. So if the Most High's presence, or the Most High's coming or present, was with the Babylonian army, what do we think Christ's coming or presence is going to be? Is it going to be him literally coming, or would he do the same thing as his father, and his coming and presence be with an army? Hence, the Roman army. Christ's coming and presence was with the Roman army. His parousia, his second coming, his presence was via Roman army. The Most High's presence in the Old Testament was via the Babylonian army. Okay? Let's keep reading. For thus had the Lord said, the whole land shall be desolate, yet will I not make a full end. So how can the whole land be desolate, but he did not end it all? Okay, this shows you how he thinks. He destroyed the power of the people, but he did not kill every literal single person. For this shall the earth mourn, and the heavens above be black, because I have spoken it, I have purposed it, and will not repent, neither will I turn back from it. So now, do we think the whole globe mourn, the whole entire globe mourn, when the Babylonian Empire seized Jerusalem? Do we think the whole entire earth mourn, or the people in Jerusalem mourn? What do we think? Of course the people in Jerusalem mourn. So now, once you go to Matthew 24 and verse 30, and then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then all of the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. When the whole earth was going to mourn here in Jeremiah, because the Babylonian Empire the Babylonian army was coming to destroy Jerusalem. If that was just Jerusalem considered the whole earth or the land, why in the New Testament, when Christ was going to come and his presence was going to be with the Roman army, why do we think that everybody on the earth was going to mourn then? Would it be everybody on the earth or everybody in Jerusalem? Jerusalem, the same way that happened in the Babylonian captivity, the same thing was going to happen in the Roman captivity. He's not saying anything different, anything new. This is how they talk. This is how they display their ideology. Okay, we can't westernize the Bible. We can't put our American spin on it. So let's keep going. Also, did all the heavens become black? Did the whole heaven become black? Or was it black due to all of the fire and smoke that came up? Or was it black like an eclipse black? Let's think about it. Now, verse 29. The whole city shall flee for the noise of the horsemen and bowmen. They shall go into thickets and climb upon the rocks. every city shall be forsaken, and not a man dwell therein. So once again, we have it right here. We have the whole city fleeing, okay? For the noise of the horsemen and bowmen, and they should go into thickets and climb up rocks. We see the same thing spoken of in Revelation. They sounded like the horsemen. It sounded like horsemen coming. There was a bunch of them. Like they came out like locusts. The people fled into the mountains and told the rocks, fall on us. So we see that they actually pulled this type of imagery or this type of ideology from older prophets, okay? This has nothing to do with America or in our time period. They were just pulling from the things that they know in their culture. So the Bible, it does not say that Christ is coming in our future or to the Americans or any of that stuff. This is all 2,000-year-old prophecies that we're reading that happened. You just got to go back into the Eastern works, which is the strictly Old Testament, to understand what the New Testament is actually saying. So if anybody's telling you Christ is coming today, they haven't studied the Bible and they don't know what they're talking about, because Christ never prophesied to come 2,000 years or further off after his generation. So this is just how this is what the Bible teaches. Be mad at me all day, all you want to, call me names, but this is what the Bible teaches. So we have the same language in Revelation that we see here in Jeremiah when Jerusalem was being destroyed by the Babylonian army. So in Revelation, we have Jerusalem being destroyed by the Roman army. That's why they're so similar. They're going through the same things. In fact, when the Babylonians destroyed Jerusalem, Jerusalem was destroyed by the Roman army on the same exact day. Once again, the same exact day that the Roman army destroyed Jerusalem, the Babylonians destroyed Jerusalem 500-600 years earlier. Same exact day. So now, verse 30. And when thou art spoiled, what wilt thou do? Thou that clotheth thyself with crimson, thou that decketh thyself with ornaments of gold, thou that rendest thy face with paintings, and in vain shalt thou make thyself fair. Thy lovers will despise thee, they will seek thy life. So once again, we see that same imagery once again in Revelation. What's going on right here? He's talking against Jerusalem, against those Israelites who were doing all that idolatry and who he had a judgment going against. You go into Revelation. Revelation, I believe, is, what's that, 18? Nope. 17. Revelation 17 and right here, 3. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman set upon a scarlet-colored beast, and her scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. The woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand. Okay? Once again, the woman had the purple, the scarlet colored, had the precious stones, and this. In Jeremiah 4:30, once again, what do we have? All right, how you doing, Mr. Bell? I'm just trying to bring this out a little bit. And how you doing, Sean? I see you. But what do we have here? And when thou art spoiled, what wilt thou do? Thou that clothest thyself with crimson. So we have the crimson, that red, that scarlet. We have all that. Thou that deckest thyself with ornaments of gold. Same thing that we saw in Revelation. Thou that thou rendest thy face with painting, in vain shalt thou make thyself fair, for thy lovers will despise thee. They will seek thy life. The same thing that we have the same thing going on in Revelation, where they was going to eat from the whore, they was going to hate the whore, and they was wanting to destroy and kill the whore. We have the same thing going on here in Jeremiah 4. The Israelites, this is what they're doing to themselves. Same thing as in Revelation. The Israelites was doing it to themselves. They hated themselves. They were warring against themselves inside of Jerusalem. It's just Jeremiah saw it under the Roman Empire. I'm sorry, Revelation, John the Revelator saw it under the Roman Empire, while Jeremiah had it going on or being prophesied to occur under the Babylonian captivity or the Babylonian army coming in. So now, you can go there. You can also go to Chronicles. I think it's 2 Chronicles 39. I got it in my other book, but Chronicles actually laid it out, everything that David picked out for Solomon to have. So it's the same exact thing. Now, verse 31. I have heard a voice as of a woman in travail, and as anguish as her that bringeth forth her first child. The voice, the daughter of Zion, that bewaileth herself, that spread her hands, saying, Woe is me now, for my soul is wearied because of murderers. Now, where do we see this at? Once again, a woman in travail and anguish as of her that bringeth forth her first child. We have the same thing going on in Revelation, right? Revelation, I think it's, hold on, give me 1 second to get there. Revelation, thought it was 10. No, 12, sorry. Revelation 12. And there appeared a great one in heaven, a woman clothed with sun and moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. And she being with child cried, travailing in birth, and pain to be delivered. The same exact thing that we see in Jeremiah 31. What's Jeremiah 31 speaking of? It's speaking of the Babylonians coming in to destroy Jerusalem. The Babylonians coming in to destroy Jerusalem, and we seeing all of that anguish that led up to Jerusalem being sieged and sacked by the Babylonians. In Revelation, we have the same thing, that woman going through travail. We have all of the things that's leading up unto the Roman army destroying Jerusalem. See, they going through the same travail. They going through the same them persecuting the people of the Most High. Them the Most High hiding his face from them. Then we have the Song of Moses being sung throughout their society. So we having the same thing being displayed from every captivity. But the thing is, in Revelation dealing with it, under the Roman Empire, this is the last time that this was going to occur before the new heavens and the new earth came, aka the new covenant, where Christ was the ruler of the kingdom. So Revelation has got you up to the point after the Roman Empire did what they were supposed to do and sacked and seized Jerusalem. Then everything that dealt with any other covenants was able to be moved out the way for Christ's new covenant, where he's the king, and we're the kings and priests upon him, and we can take over the globe and spread abroad the ideology of old Christianity, not new Christianity, not pagan Christianity. I'm talking about the Christianity that the disciples had. That Christianity where Christ is the forerunner and where Christ is up under the Father. Christ does the will of the Father. We do the will of Christ. That Christianity, not what we see today. But we see that being displayed in Revelation. When the Roman army seized and destroyed Jerusalem for that final time, aka everything, all prophecies had been fulfilled in the Bible, then we go on into the new covenant. There was no Bible. There's no future tablet. Now you can go to the anti-Nicene and all them, but some of them guys got it wrong too. But there's no Bible about the past times, or there's no documents this about the past times after the destruction from the Roman army, because you are then under Christ, under the baptism, in the everlasting kingdom, which has no end. Therefore, there's no more prophecies that needs to happen. There's no more salvation that need to be given to the nation of Israel. Now everyone will be considered the nation of Israel on a whole nother spiritual degree, and they don't need all this physical stuff, all of these signs and wonders and all this stuff. It don't need to occur no more. But I'm going on a rant now. What I was going to show y'all is that according to Jeremiah 4, when Jerusalem was supposed to be destroyed, when Jerusalem was prophesied being destroyed, the earth was considered void. It was considered that there were no more people on the earth. It was considered desolate. So the whole earth was considered destroyed already. So if that was not a literal destruction of the earth, even though the earth was considered without form and void, and the heavens had no lights, and the mountains was trembling, look, and there was no man, and all of the birds in heaven fled. So if the earth was considered that, building up to the Babylonians destroying Jerusalem, and we know that the earth was not destroyed, we know the earth was not void, literally, we know that the lights in heaven didn't literally stop shining. So if that was the aspect and the way they talked back then, why would they change their culture and the way they do things thousands or so years in the future during Christ's time? So this is the same type of language that Christ used, as well as the disciples used, in order to display how the Most High viewed things spiritually. There's some physical aspect behind it, but we take away some of the spiritual aspects behind it to worry about the physical. Okay? He was never saying that he was coming to destroy the whole entire planet Earth. So everybody, you can take a chill pill. You can relax. You can go outside. You can take a deep breath, because this planet is not going anywhere. The Most High is not going to let anybody come in and destroy his creation. It's not going to happen. The Bible never taught that way. This is how we teach, because we are Americans and we have a linear aspect on literature that we read. If we were not taught that it's an idiom, or if we were not taught it was a metaphor, then we by default take it literal. Them back then in the Bible days, in the antiquity, they understood their culture. They knew how they taught. They taught more in the figurative language all the time. They had more idioms. They understood when the mountains was going to tremble, and when the earth was going to be void and no man was going to be on the planet. They understood this dealt more with them being destroyed. It had nothing to do with the cosmos being destroyed. It had to do with the people being destroyed. The people in that localized area, the local people, aka the Israelites, they understood that what this meant to them. Okay? So once you go into the New Testament, it doesn't change. Okay? It don't change because you read something totally different, even though it says every eye is going to see him when he returns. It's not literally saying every eye on the entire planet Earth was supposed to see Christ when he returned. This is how they taught. Every eye within that localized place was supposed to see him, but not him, his presence. Remember, we went through earlier that right here, the Most High's presence was King Babylon and his army. So now Christ's presence will be the Roman or Titus and his army. So now I think I got it right. I think it was Titus, but it's the Roman army. So nothing is going to change. The verbiage might be tweaked a little bit, but the ideology and the way they view things is not going to change no matter how we want it to. So if anybody coming to you with some futuristic doctrine, talking about some Christ is coming any day now, like they've been saying for about 2,000 years, let them know the Bible don't teach that. And if you want to know deeper information, you can contact Mr. William Bell. You can send me a message, our brother Shannon Berry. It's a bunch of us actually. So I mean, if you have it, or you can put your questions on here. But it's not going to work out. The Bible's not going to teach anything outside of past 70 AD dealing with the destruction of the temple by the Roman army, because prophecies get us to that point before the new kingdom comes, or the new kingdom came. See, we're in the kingdom right now. We're in the kingdom age. We're in the kingdom right now. Now, just like any kingdom, it's going to be good people, it's going to be bad people, okay? Everybody's not going to listen. Everybody's not going to listen. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be famines. It's going to be earthquakes. It's going to be bad weather. It's going to be this ridiculousness. And it's going to be a lot of pleasure, just like it was in any old kingdom on earth, okay? It never stopped. So we got to quit fantasizing and thinking that it's going to be one big utopia, because if you're in Christ, you are a new creation, and all of the old things that you have done will be passed away, and all things that you see will be new in the way you do things, in the way you handle things, in the way you go out and teach the doctrine. That is going to be mainly the kingdom of heaven. Not what a physical throne coming from the heaven, hitting earth, shaking the whole earth, then the earth explode, and then somehow the earth comes right back together, and he's going to redo the elements, he's going to redo the water. He don't need to do all of that in order to prove that he's God. That's why he said, believe. If you remember, Christ was going through, and he was healing everybody who what? Who believed. Blessed is he who has not seen but believed. The Bible is supposed to get you to believe, to trust. Everything you need to know is already here. He has fulfilled everything that needed to be fulfilled in order for you to enjoy the new covenant. So, don't let these teachers, don't let these preachers, don't let these camps, don't let your mama, don't let your aunties, don't let your uncles, your father, don't let anybody take you from the new covenant under Christ. Okay? That's all I got to say. I think we see now that this whole thing about this whole world is supposed to come to an end. That's not really what the Bible teaches. So I say just go back in, redo your studies, study a little bit more, come back in it, pick up some commentaries, pick up some Eastern books, all that stuff, or you can just listen on to some of the stuff that we do. We have a lot of lessons, and we're nice people. We talk to you on the phone, email, correspondence, however you want to do it. We do debates with moderators also, just in case anybody is want to go through the scriptures and want to reason with them logically. We can do it all. So I like to say thank y'all for listening. Today we went through Jeremiah 4 just to show that the world itself was considered destroyed or void before. So now this dust is messing with me. I like to say shalom. Thank y'all for listening, and I'll talk to y'all later on. Love y'all. Hit me up.